The frontier ship moved slowly through dark space, far away from any known colony. Its metal hulls were quiet most of the time, broken only by soft machine hums and distant footsteps. Inside the crew deck, alien soldiers gathered after their training cycle. They came from different worlds, different systems, but they all shared one thing: confidence in their strength and a growing belief that old human war stories were nothing more than exaggerated tales. They spoke loudly in their own languages, laughing as translations ran across shared comm devices. The topic again and again returned to humans. Ancient humans. Old Earth myths. Stories of soldiers who refused to die, fleets that fought beyond reason, and battles that sounded impossible. One young alien officer leaned back in his seat and made a dismissive gesture. "Humans are soft compared to modern forces," he said. "Their stories sound like entertainment for children." Another soldier laughed. "They say a single human soldier once held a corridor alone for hours. That is impossible. No body can survive that level of damage." The room filled with amusement. The idea that humans had once been feared warriors of the galaxy seemed ridiculous to them. In their minds, technology had advanced too far for such primitive legends to matter. Near the back of the room, John Harris sat alone. He wore a simple maintenance uniform. He did not wear rank markings or decorations that would draw attention. His presence was quiet, almost invisible. Most of the crew assumed he was just an old technician assigned to fix minor systems. He said nothing as the laughter continued. John had heard it all before. The doubt. The jokes. The disbelief. He did not react, not even when they mocked battles he had lived through. His hands rested calmly on the table, though his eyes carried a distant weight that none of them noticed. Across the room, a young communications officer translated more stories from a shared archive. The soldiers leaned in again. One account claims human fleets once destroyed entire enemy worlds just to stop a single invasion force, she read. That cannot be accurate. The room erupted in laughter again. Someone even clapped slowly in sarcasm. John lowered his gaze slightly but remained silent. Outside the ship, space stretched endlessly, dark and still. The frontier region they traveled through was supposed to be safe. It had been mapped and cleared years ago. Nothing important should have been here anymore. Then the ship's internal alarm system gave a soft tone. Not a full warning. Just a quiet alert that something unusual had appeared in deep scan range. The laughter inside the crew deck slowly faded as data began to stream into the central display panel. A faint signal had been detected. It was weak, unstable, and buried in background noise, but it carried a pattern that did not match any known alliance code. The young officer frowned. "What is that?" A technician checked the readings. "It is coming from a region marked as empty space. No active colonies. No stations." The signal pulsed again. Slow. Repeating. Not random. The room grew quieter as attention shifted from jokes to curiosity. Even those who had been laughing now looked at the display. John Harris finally moved. He stood up slowly, his chair making a soft scrape against the floor. His motion was calm, but something about it changed the atmosphere in the room. It was not fear that entered the space. It was recognition. As if something long buried had suddenly touched the present. He walked closer to the display without asking permission. No one stopped him. The signal flickered again, and this time the system attempted to clean it. When it did, a deeper layer of the transmission appeared. A pattern hidden beneath noise. A rhythm that did not belong to modern systems. John's expression tightened slightly. "That signal should not exist anymore," he said quietly. The words were not loud, but they cut through the room more than any alarm. The young officer looked at him. "You recognize it?" John did not answer immediately. His eyes stayed on the screen, as if he was seeing something far beyond it. Something older. Something remembered the wrong way. Behind him, the soldiers exchanged uncertain looks. The laughter was gone now, replaced with curiosity and a small edge of discomfort. John finally spoke again, still calm. That frequency was burned out of every known system long ago. A technician tried to stabilize the feed. It might be interference. Space noise. Dead signal echoes. John shook his head slightly. No. It is not dead. The ship's systems suddenly adjusted the display. The signal sharpened for a brief moment. In that instant, a second layer appeared, showing structured pulses within the transmission. Not random at all. Controlled. Intentional. The room went completely silent. One of the soldiers whispered, "What is sending that?" John did not take his eyes off the screen. His voice lowered even more. "I do not know if it is still what it used to be," he said. "But if it is, then we are already too close." No one asked what he meant. Something in his tone discouraged questions. The signal pulsed again, stronger this time. The ship's AI marked it as high priority. The system suggested rerouting course. Avoidance protocol. The young officer tried to regain control of the moment. "We are likely dealing with a relic signal. Old debris. Nothing more." But even he did not sound fully convinced anymore. John stepped back from the display and looked toward the front of the ship, where the command bridge lay beyond sealed doors. For a moment, his face looked older than before, as if the memory behind his eyes had grown heavier. "They will not believe it yet," he said quietly to himself. The room remained still, the earlier laughter completely gone. Only the faint pulsing of the unknown signal filled the silence, repeating through the ship like a distant heartbeat from something that should have never woken up again. The ship changed its course slowly, turning away from normal patrol routes and heading deeper into a region marked in old maps as empty. The crew called it a dead zone. No colonies. No trade paths. No military stations. Just silence and drifting debris from forgotten times. Commander Aaron stood near the command console, arms crossed. His confidence was still there, but it had started to crack. "If this is nothing," he said, "then why does it react when we move closer?" No one answered him right away. John Harris stood near the rear of the bridge. He had not been invited to the command room, but no one stopped him from entering. His presence was still quiet, but now people noticed him more often. The old maintenance uniform, the calm eyes, the way he always seemed to know where to look first. Sergeant Lisa worked at the data station, trying to pull historical records from nearby relay buoys. But something was wrong. The deeper they went into the dead zone, the fewer records appeared. Files that should have existed were missing or corrupted. Entire sections of history were blank. "This is not normal data loss," she said softly. "It is controlled deletion." Commander Aaron turned slightly. "Deleted by who?" Lisa hesitated. "By multiple authorities. Different eras. Layered erasure." The words hung in the air. Layered erasure meant effort. Planning. Fear. John stepped forward slowly. "Because no one wanted it remembered," he said. The bridge went quiet. Lisa looked at him. "Remembered what?" John did not answer immediately. Instead, he looked at the main screen where fragments of the signal still pulsed. His expression was steady, but there was something deep behind it, something heavy and old. Finally, he spoke. "The Void Swarm." A few of the crew frowned. The name did not appear in their standard military databases. One technician checked quickly. Nothing came up. Commander Aaron narrowed his eyes. "Never heard of it." John nodded slightly. "That is the point." The ship moved deeper into the dead zone. The stars outside looked thinner now, as if space itself had lost structure. Occasional pieces of broken metal drifted past the hull, old ship fragments, ancient and covered in dust. Then they found it. A drifting station. Large, but broken in half. No power signatures. No life. It had been floating for a very long time. The ship approached carefully, docking arms extending. A small team went across first. Lisa, 2 security soldiers, and John Harris. Inside the station, everything was frozen in silence. Lights were dark. Walls were scorched. Not from fire, but from something more precise, like energy cutting through matter. The air was still and dry. They moved through corridors filled with floating debris. Broken screens. Burned control panels. Empty halls where life support had long failed. Then they reached a central archive room. The doors were already open, bent outward as if forced long ago. Inside, rows of data cores floated in broken frames. Lisa connected a portable reader, trying to recover anything. At first, only fragments appeared. Then more. Then partial logs. What she saw made her stop. Entire fleets listed. Ship names. Battle formations. Emergency orders. And then sudden gaps. Whole fleets marked as lost without recovery. She scrolled further. A phrase appeared repeatedly across different eras. Containment failure risk. Another line appeared. Void swarm expansion detected. Lisa turned slowly toward John. What is this? John stepped closer, looking at the data but not touching it. This is what was removed, he said. One of the security soldiers spoke quietly. Removed by who? John's voice stayed steady. By everyone who survived. The words made no sense at first. Then John pointed at the logs. Human fleets. Alien fleets. Entire alliances. All of them fought it. Together at times. Alone at others. He paused. And most of them did not come back. Lisa looked back at the data. Why erase it? John answered without hesitation. Because knowing it exists means knowing it could return. Silence filled the broken archive room. The station creaked softly as it drifted. Outside, the dead stars seemed closer now, like they were listening. One of the soldiers spoke. So what happened to it? This void swarm? John looked at him for a long moment. We fought it across 3 sectors, he said. We lost entire regions of space. Worlds disappeared before anyone could evacuate them. It learned too fast. It adapted faster than we could respond. Lisa swallowed. And humans fought it alone. John nodded once. At first, yes. He turned slightly, looking at the broken data cores around them. Later, others joined. But by then, it had already changed. Commander Aaron's voice came through the comm link from the ship. Why continue fighting something you cannot stop? John answered quietly, but firmly. Because if we did not hold it back, it would not stop at us. A long silence followed. Then John added something softer. We were not trying to win. We were trying to delay. The words settled heavily in the room. Lisa looked back at the records. These fleets, they were sacrificed. John nodded again. Yes. No emotion in his voice. Only memory. The security soldier whispered, all of them. John hesitated for the first time. Enough of them, he said. A faint vibration passed through the station. The ship outside adjusted position. Something in the distance was changing. Then Lisa noticed something else in the logs. A final entry, older than the rest. Swarm behavior unpredictable. Last containment line established. No further retreat possible. She read it aloud slowly. John closed his eyes for a moment. That was the last time we saw it clearly, he said. Outside, the ship's scanners suddenly picked up movement beyond the station. Not debris. Not natural drift. Structured motion. Too many points. Too organized. The crew on the ship called in urgently. Commander, we are getting multiple readings. Large mass signatures approaching. On the station, Lisa looked at John. He was already staring into the dark corridor ahead, as if he could see something none of them could yet. It found us, he said quietly. And for the first time since the mission began, no one argued with him. The station drifted in silence, but that silence did not last. A deep vibration passed through its broken structure, like something far away had just moved and noticed them. The lights on the human team's portable systems flickered. On the main ship, alarms began to rise one by one, not in full warning, but in growing urgency. Commander Aaron stood on the bridge, watching the sensor screen tighten with new data. At first it looked like debris movement. Then it became patterns. Then it became structure. Too many points. Too organized. Too alive. Report, he ordered sharply. A technician's voice cracked slightly. We are detecting multiple large mass signatures. They were not there minutes ago. Lisa's voice came through the open channel from the station. They are not arriving, they are waking up. Aaron frowned. Waking up from what? No one answered right away. On the station, Lisa stood frozen near the archive room doorway. The broken cores behind her still flickered with old data, but something outside was now responding to them. The darkness beyond the station was no longer empty. It was shifting. John Harris stepped forward slowly, closer to the broken window panel that looked out into space. His face was calm, but his eyes were no longer distant. They were focused, sharp in a way that did not belong to an old maintenance worker. It is not arriving, he said again quietly. It is remembering. One of the security soldiers raised his weapon instinctively, pointing it toward the corridor. What does that mean? John did not answer immediately. He watched the darkness outside as if it had depth now, like something had opened its eyes behind it. Then the first impact hit. The station shook. Not from explosion, but from contact. Something had touched the outer hull. Then another. And another. Commander Aaron shouted from the ship. Defensive systems online. Energy turrets activated around the ship. Bright beams fired into space toward the detected signatures. For a moment, there was hope. The weapons struck targets directly. But then the readings changed. The energy beams bent slightly before impact. Not blocked. Not reflected. Adjusted. The ship's AI paused. Target response adapting. Aaron's eyes narrowed. Explain. A second later, the turrets fired again. The beam struck the same area, but the result was different. The energy dispersed, breaking apart mid-flight as if it had lost meaning before reaching its target. Then another change happened. The enemy signatures increased. Not because more arrived, but because the system was no longer able to define them clearly. They are changing how we see them, Lisa said over the comm, her voice tight. Inside the station, the lights died completely. Emergency red strips flickered along the walls. The security soldiers moved closer together, their weapons raised but uncertain. One of them fired down the corridor when a shadow moved. The shot hit something. There was no impact sound. No explosion. Only silence. Then the corridor behind them went dark. The soldier stepped back. I hit it. John's voice came from behind them. No. You only told it where you are. That sentence made the group freeze. Commander Aaron was now shouting from the bridge. All systems are dropping. Shields failing. Navigation is unstable. The ship tilted slightly as if space itself had become uneven. Technicians rushed to stabilize systems, but every attempt created new errors. Weapons coordination failed. Sensor grids overlapped and contradicted each other. Even basic mapping of space began to shift. "It is like it is rewriting our readings," one technician said in panic. On the station, Lisa looked at John. "You knew this would happen." John did not look at her. "I knew it would react," he said. Another impact hit the station. This time harder. Metal groaned. A support beam snapped somewhere deep inside. The security soldiers started firing into darkness blindly. Each shot gave temporary light, revealing nothing clearly formed, only moving absence. Shapes that did not stay still long enough to understand. One soldier shouted, "I cannot lock a target." Another replied, "Neither can I." Panic started to rise. Commander Aaron's voice came through again, lower now. "We are losing control of engagement protocols. Enemy is not stable on sensors." Lisa swallowed. "It is not unstable," she said slowly. "It is too stable. We are the ones failing to track it." A pause followed. Then Aaron asked, "John Harris, explain." John finally turned slightly. His face was no longer calm in the same way. It carried something older now. Something like acceptance mixed with regret. "We did not beat it," he said. Another impact shook the station, cutting his words for a moment. "We only slowed it," he continued once the vibration passed. "Every time we pushed it back, it changed. Every time we contained it, it learned how we contained it." Lisa's voice softened. "Then why didn't you tell anyone?" John looked at her now. "Because if everyone knew how large it was, no one would have stayed to fight." Silence filled the broken corridor again. Outside, the void swarm was no longer just reading their positions. It was surrounding them. On the ship, systems began to fail in cascading order. Entire sections of control went dark. Backup systems activated, only to fail seconds later. Commander Aaron clenched his fists. "Can we retreat?" A technician hesitated. "No clear exit routes. Navigation grid is corrupted." Another voice added, "We cannot even confirm where we are in relation to safe space." Aaron looked at the screen. For the first time, uncertainty replaced command. On the station, Lisa stared at John again. "You said humanity fought this alone at first." John nodded. "And now?" John looked toward the dark corridor where the impacts were becoming steady, rhythmic, almost patient. "Now it remembers all of us," he said. A new sound filled the station. Not mechanical. Not explosion. Something quieter. Like metal slowly being understood and rewritten from the outside. The security soldier closest to the door stepped back. "What is that?" John answered softly. "It is learning how to enter." The station lights flickered once more, then failed completely. In the darkness, only emergency suit lights and distant weapon flashes remained. Commander Aaron's voice came through one final time, strained but controlled. "We are preparing evacuation protocols." But even as he said it, everyone knew the truth was already changing. On the station, Lisa looked at John one last time. "Is there any way to stop it?" John paused. Then he said the words no one wanted to hear. "We already used the way to stop it." A deep silence followed. Outside, the void swarm pressed closer, no longer hidden, no longer distant. And for the first time since the mission began, the galaxy itself felt too small to hold what was waking up. Commander Aaron had never seen fear like this before, and yet it was not fear in the usual sense. It was something worse. It was confusion without direction, systems collapsing faster than they could be repaired, and a silent enemy that could not be fully tracked. The ship limped away from the dead zone, but it did not feel like escape. It felt like something was being followed home. Every screen on the bridge flickered with unstable readings. Navigation maps changed every few seconds. What was once clear space now looked broken, as if space itself had lost its shape. Requesting contact with Earth Command, Aaron ordered. There was a delay. Too long for standard communication. Then the response came. A calm voice. Human. Controlled. Earth Command received. Emergency protocol recognized. Aaron leaned forward. We are under full contact with the Void Swarm. Systems failing. We need support. A short silence followed. Then the human voice replied, understood. That was all. No panic. No shock. No confusion. Just understanding. Aaron frowned. That is all. We are facing extinction-level threat. The response came again, steady and firm. Acknowledged. Stand by. The channel closed. Aaron turned to his officers. Did they understand what we said? Lisa, still pale from the station incident, nodded slowly. They understood. Before Aaron could respond, another alert came in. This time from deep space relay networks. Multiple signals. Not one. Not two. Hundreds. Old frequencies. Hidden channels. Emergency codes that had not been active in known history. One technician stared at the screen. These are ancient military activation protocols. Aaron's voice dropped slightly. Explain. Lisa stepped closer. These are Earth-only codes. They are not supposed to exist in active systems. The bridge fell quiet as the signals spread. Far away, across the galaxy, dormant systems began to respond. On Earth, nothing looked like panic. It started in silence. Old facilities buried under mountains opened their locks for the first time in centuries. Deep ocean stations powered on without warning. Desert bases long marked as abandoned lit up with life. Then the ships came. Not new ships. Old ones. Massive hulls hidden in dark orbit, cloaked in asteroid fields, inside empty star zones that no longer appeared on standard maps. One by one, they woke up. Aaron watched the feeds as his own sensors began receiving distant visuals. Entire fleets appearing where there was once nothing. He leaned forward. How many ships are we talking about? Lisa checked the data. She went silent for a moment. Then she said, more than we have ever recorded officially. Aaron stared at her. Officially? She nodded slightly. There are fleets that were never listed. On Earth, cities shifted without warning. Factories that once produced civilian goods changed overnight. Conveyor lines reconfigured themselves. Production floors split into military assembly lines. Machines that had not been used in generations began moving again. Workers arrived expecting confusion. Instead, they found instructions already prepared. No chaos. No debate. Just structure. One worker in a large Earth facility looked at a screen that had turned on by itself. It displayed a simple message. Contingency status, active. He whispered, "What does that mean?" A supervisor nearby answered without hesitation. "It means we are late." Across continents, the same transformation happened. Cities did not stop functioning. They adapted. Commander Aaron watched all of this from the ship, unable to fully process it. "They are not reacting," he said slowly. "They are executing something planned long ago." Lisa nodded. They knew this could happen. Aaron turned sharply. And they did not warn the rest of the galaxy. Lisa hesitated. Maybe they did. Just not in words we understood. Another transmission arrived. This one directly from Earth Surface Command. A human officer appeared on screen. Middle-aged. Calm eyes. No hesitation in his voice. Coalition ship, report your status. Aaron replied quickly. We are under pursuit. Enemy classification unknown but highly adaptive. Systems are failing. The human officer nodded once. Confirmed. Void swarm resurgence detected. Aaron froze slightly. You know it? Yes, the officer said simply. There was no surprise in his tone. Only readiness. Aaron leaned forward. Then why is the galaxy not in full panic? The officer looked directly at him. Because panic does not build fleets, he said. A pause. Then he added, preparation does. The transmission ended. Aaron sat back slowly in his chair. On the screen behind him, more fleets were appearing in real time. Human ships emerging from hidden space like something returning rather than arriving. Lisa spoke softly. They built this for a long time. Aaron nodded slowly. And never told anyone. A new signal appeared on the tactical map. Massive convergence points forming near the frontier. Human fleets were moving. Not scattered. Not random. Coordinated. Perfectly timed. Aaron whispered, they are not running. Lisa answered, no. A moment passed. Then she said, they are going to meet it. The ship's sensors confirmed it. The void swarm presence was growing again, no longer contained by distance. It was spreading toward known space. But now, something else was moving to meet it. Human fleets. Commander Aaron stood up slowly. For the first time since the mission began, his voice did not carry command or doubt. Only realization. They knew we would fail, he said quietly. Lisa looked at him. No. He turned. She continued, they knew it would come back. Silence filled the bridge. Outside, the stars remained the same. But everything between them had changed. Humanity was awake. The war did not feel like a normal war anymore. It felt like the galaxy itself had become a battlefield with no clear front line. Ships appeared and disappeared in the dark. Sensors broke and rebuilt themselves. Space near the frontier was full of shifting signals that no one could fully understand. Human fleets moved forward without hesitation. Alien forces followed, not leading, only reacting to something they still struggled to accept. The void swarm was no longer hidden. It had become active across multiple zones at once, like a mind waking up in pieces. Commander Aaron stood on the bridge of his damaged ship, watching the human formations move ahead. There was no fear in their movement. No confusion. Only direction. It was as if they had already accepted every possible outcome before the battle even began. Lisa stood near him, eyes fixed on the central display. They are pushing straight into the core zone, she said quietly. Aaron frowned. That is impossible. No fleet goes directly into the center of swarm activity. She shook her head. They are not avoiding it. They are aiming for it. A new transmission opened. It was John Harris. His face appeared on the screen, older than ever, calm but heavy with something deeper than fatigue. He was aboard a small human strike vessel, surrounded by faint emergency lights. I am going in, he said simply. Aaron stepped forward. That is not a full command fleet. You will not reach the core alone. John looked at him through the screen. I will not be alone, he replied. Behind him, other human ships formed up in silence. Small in number compared to the full fleets, but chosen carefully. Each one marked with old designations, names that did not appear in modern records. Lisa's voice softened. Those ships, they are not standard military units. Aaron studied them. Veteran fleets. John nodded once. These are the ones that remember, he said. A pause followed. Then Aaron spoke, slower now. What happens if you reach the core? John did not answer immediately. His eyes moved slightly, as if he was looking far beyond the screen, into something only he could see clearly. If I do not go, he said, it will keep spreading until nothing is left to learn from. Lisa whispered, and if you go? John's expression did not change. Then it stops learning. The transmission ended. Silence filled the bridge. The human fleets moved deeper into enemy space. The void swarm reacted instantly. It was no longer just defensive. It was intelligent resistance, shifting, adapting, trying to isolate and break the formation. But the humans did not break. They adjusted. Every time the swarm changed, the human fleets changed with it, as if they had fought this exact pattern before in another lifetime. Aaron watched in disbelief. They are predicting it. Lisa shook her head. No. They are remembering it. The closer they got to the center, the worse the conditions became. Navigation systems failed. Communication broke into fragments. Even visual sensors struggled to hold stable images. But still, John's ship moved forward. Inside his vessel, the lighting was low. The crew around him were silent. Not afraid, but focused. Some were older, their faces marked by time and memory. Others were younger, but trained in a way that carried the same calm understanding. A young officer spoke quietly. We are entering final convergence range. John nodded. Good. Another officer looked at him. Sir, there is no return path after this point. John turned slightly. There never was, he said. Outside the ship, the void swarm core began to appear. It was not a single object. It was a structure of living systems, layered across space like a web of shifting dark matter and machine growth. It pulsed with activity, adjusting constantly to everything around it. Aaron's ship shuddered as distant shock waves reached them. What is it doing? Aaron asked. Lisa stared at the readings. It is reacting to them like they are a virus, she said. The swarm focused fully on John's group now. The final engagement began. Human ships fired not to destroy individual targets, but to open a path. Each strike was precise, controlled, calculated. They were not trying to win battles. They were trying to reach a point inside the structure. Slowly, painfully, they advanced. One by one, human ships began to fall. But they did not retreat. Aaron clenched his fists. They are sacrificing themselves. Lisa whispered, they plan to. Inside John's ship, alarms sounded. Hull integrity dropping. Systems failing under pressure from surrounding swarm contact. An officer shouted, we are losing outer sections. John stood up calmly. Keep moving, he said. The ship pushed forward, breaking through a final defensive layer. Suddenly, the core was visible. It was not physical in the normal sense. It was layered intelligence, a network of control nodes stretching across impossible distances, all connected through unknown structures. John looked at it. This is it, he said softly. The crew waited. He turned to them. You all know what this is, he said. No one spoke. He nodded once. Then you also know what must be done. A final silence. Then the ship locked its course. Direct into the core. Aaron saw it from afar. They are going inside it. Lisa's voice broke slightly. They are not stopping. John's final transmission came through. It was shorter than before. Tell them, we held it long enough. Then the ship entered the core. For a moment, everything went still. No movement. No signals. No response. Then the void swarm began to collapse. Not explode. Not scatter. Collapse. Like a system losing its central thought. Across the battlefield, swarm structures began to shut down. Ships lost coordination. Expansion stopped. The adaptive patterns broke apart into static noise. Aaron watched the readings drop. "It is stopping," he said slowly. Lisa stared at the screen. "It is losing its center." The human fleets held position, waiting. Then, one by one, swarm activity faded. Silence returned to space. No more movement. No more signals. No more shifting darkness. Just stillness. Commander Aaron leaned back slightly, unable to fully process it. "It is over," he said quietly. Lisa nodded. "Yes," she said. "It is over." But neither of them smiled. Because they both understood what had ended it. Far away, at the edge of the silent core, there was no response from John Harris's ship. Only quiet. And the galaxy, for the first time in a long while, did not feel like it was being watched.